Hello everybody, it's Scott here at Aspiria Fitness Center, and I'm going to guide you through today's mobility and more class. So I'm going to step back and talk about a little bit what we need for the class, and then we're going to take it right away. So we will start with some basic mobility for our upper body and shoulders and our neck. We'll move down to a little bit more full body mobility, and we'll finish off with a small block of just a little bit of core and some basic strength training just to help us get our blood flowing and get these muscles working a little bit. So stick with me. We're going to step right back here and I'll briefly chat about what we'll need for class, and then we'll take it away from there. All right, guys, we have, I have a big mat. I've got two mats put together here. We're going to spend some time in some different positions on the mat. So make sure you've got a nice open space to work with. Of course, if you only have one mat, that's totally fine, but hopefully you have a nice comfortable place that you can sit down, use the floor, have some space that we can sprawl out a little bit. I've just doubled up my mat just for my surface area here. I also have just one very light set of dumbbells today. That's all we'll need. We will do some shoulder rotator cuff type work with those light dumbbells, and I have 8-pound dumbbells with me, and that is about as high as I would want to go. So if you've got something lighter, that'll be great, some 3 or 5-pound dumbbells. If you don't have that, feel free to grab 2 water bottles or 2 canned goods or something very light. Like I said, we don't want very much weight at all here. These will be some strenuous movements for our little small muscle groups in our shoulders, so we definitely don't want to overdo it on the weight. I wouldn't go much higher than 6 to 8 pounds if that's available for you too. And of course, we can also just move through these motions if you have no weight at all. Using just our body weight for your arm and just working on some of those movements will be helpful as well. So just a light set of dumbbells today. I've also got my water bottle and a sweat towel here with me, just in case we want to get a little sweaty and we need to hydrate. We'll have our water bottle, and of course we can wipe a little bit of sweat. But other than that, I've just got my mat here. Of course, we talked about that, and my body, as well as a little bench. We'll start in the seated position like we do frequently, working on our head and shoulders and our neck. So you can do that standing, of course, as well, but if you have a comfortable place that you can sit down, please go ahead and take that, and we'll start there. And I've got my shoes off. You'll notice whatever's comfortable for you. We'll spend some time on our mat here. So if you're comfortable with shoes off, go ahead and take those off. If you're comfortable with them on, they'll be perfectly fine staying on your feet. So we're going to start here. We'll go through a series of movements. We're using our timer today like usual. We have about a minute for each one. We'll go through a few different little blocks that we'll work with, but we're just going to work on that 1 minute, and then we have about 20 seconds to kind of transition into the next movement before we get going. So of course, our first one, we always like to start with our neck. We work our way down a little bit. So we're going to start with our lateral flexion of our neck, where we're just going to be reaching earlobe down to our shoulder, so tilting your head to side. We don't want to twist or rotate in any way, just sideways, getting our head shifting side to side, left to right. So we're going to stay looking straight forward and just shift those ears to our shoulders is what we're looking for. Now we want to drop our ear down rather than raise our shoulder up, so try and keep those hands down to your sides. We can hold on to your chair bottom or something to cue us to keep those shoulders down rather than reaching up on either side. So you can also sit on our hands if we need to, so tuck those hands underneath your glutes. But we're going to start with that 1 minute, and we are flexing, lateral flexion, side to side, earlobe to shoulder. Our clock has begun to tick just now, so again, hold on to the bottom of your chair or whatever you're sitting on to help prompt those shoulders to stay down. No particular speed we're working with here, just working through as slowly as we can. We'll start to feel pretty tight as we shift from side to side, so just making sure that we're going side to side, extending to the best of our ability through that range of motion that we have. We should hopefully get a little bit looser as the time goes on. We should feel some tightness probably in those traps though as the opposite side stretches. So when I'm tilting to my right, I have a nice deep stretch on my left side, and of course the opposite on the other side. So about 20 seconds to go. We're just feeling out that tightness, shifting head from side to side, doing your best to stretch to that end possible range of motion as far as we can go. Maybe a little discomfort, but if we have any shooting pain or anything like that, we definitely want to stop. So we do need to stretch through a little bit of discomfort to get that mobility going. So hopefully it's not overwhelming for you. There's our beep. There's a good timer. So we won't have a countdown. We're just going to have one solid beep to end us there. We're going to stay with our neck here. And so for our next one, rather than tilting side to side, we are going to turn our head now. So we want to turn our head and look over our opposite shoulder, or I'm sorry, just looking over your shoulder. We'll start that when you hear the beep. Same idea, we want to keep those shoulders as stable as we can, just moving our neck muscles. So hold on to the bottom of the chair or sit on those hands if you need to. And we are just slowly looking left and right, look over that shoulder as far as we can go, feeling a stretch in the neck muscles as we turn and twist. And once again, we might have a little bit of stretching feeling, a little tension and discomfort. We hopefully want to slowly work through those ranges of motion. If we have any shooting pain or tight burning sensations, we definitely want to, lay off of it a little bit. But hopefully we can get some good rotation in here, looking over those shoulders, feeling that stretch in our neck, feeling like we're loosening up our neck a little bit here. One side is definitely tighter for me. We can feel that. Working through just one more turn and twist. Good, there we are. So moving on to our next one here. We're doing our last one for our neck before we move on to shoulders and lower body a little bit. And now we are going to tuck our chin and then look up to the sky. So we're driving the chin down, tucking underneath as best we can, and then looking up. So we're doing our vertical flexion here. So we did our lateral flexion, we did our rotation, now we're doing our flexion and extension. So flexing down, tucking the chin in, extending up backwards, driving the chin up to the sky. And all the while we're making sure to keep those shoulder blades stable. Once again, so we're holding onto our bottom of our chair, maybe we're holding onto our chair legs, maybe we're sitting on our hands, whatever works best for you. We're just tucking the chin and driving the chin up. We're just over halfway, so keep going. Stretch to that end range of motion as best you can. We might have a little tightness, a little stretchy feeling, some of that discomfort. And of course, we're stopping at any shooting pain or sharp pains that we might feel. So we are going to finish it off here about 10 seconds, one or two more in each position, moving down the line. Starting to feel our neck and shoulders relax a little bit, hopefully. Good, and relax. There's our last minute. Go ahead and roll those shoulders out. We're going to get our shoulders going next. So for our next one here, we call these W's, where you can have the diamond position. So we're bringing those hands together. You can see better with the white wall behind me. A diamond, or just those fingers touching. And from here, all we do is sit up nice and tall, and we're going to bring those hands back and squeeze shoulder blades. So right there, good. We're starting with that diamond position, driving elbows and shoulder blades back for a big squeeze, and then reaching back forward. So get a good reach, and then a big squeeze. And then we reach all the way out, fully extend those arms, drive the arms out, get a good stretch, and we tuck and squeeze, elbows back. So these are our shoulder W's. Of course, we call them W because you can make the W position with your thumb and forefinger, or your index finger there. Otherwise, we're doing the diamond. Either way is totally fine, whatever's comfortable for you. W or diamond, as long as we're reaching forward and squeezing those shoulder blades back. So getting some good motion in our shoulders and shoulder blades here. Getting loose and warm. About 15 seconds to go here, a little more than that. We're getting a couple more big squeezes, a couple more good reaches in, and we're moving on down the line. One more big reach and squeeze. Good, there it is. Go ahead and relax. So we'll roll those shoulders out again. We're going to come back to our arms right here in just a second. And we're going to do arm circles, so you can do both at the same time, and we'll just do some nice, slow, gradual circles. Then we're going to go backwards, of course, for our next minute. So we're going to get ready to go once we hear our beat. In 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and we're going to go just nice, big wide circles, nice and slow. Driving the shoulder blades for a big squeeze on the way back over the top, and we'll switch directions for our next minute. So again, no rep goal here, just working nice and slow, just feeling that ultimate range of motion over the top and back as we squeeze arms back behind you. Open up your chest. Again, we're sitting nice and tall with big shoulders here. Take a big breath in, exhale. One more of these on these big circles as we come over the top. Feeling these shoulders getting warm, chest is opening up just a little bit. I'm bringing my circles forward right now. As I would describe this as a forward circle. We're dipping hands back behind you and the circle is coming up over us in a forward motion. We'll reverse that for our next minute, and then we're going to give our upper body a break. One or two more big circles. We got 5 seconds. Open those palms, open your chest over the top. Good, and relax, okay. Shake those arms and shoulders out one more time. We got 1 more minute on the shoulders to get those nice and loose. So now we're gonna go forward, opening up backwards, and we'll really have a chance to open up our chest on those. So driving those hands up and over, opening those arms on the side, and we'll really feel a stretch in our chest and mid rib cage and our mid spine there. So there we go. We're coming up to the front, driving those shoulders way back, nice and slow, and we're scooping underneath there. So we're calling this a backward circle here. Gonna go up overhead as best we can, and like I said, we let those arms drop for a big circle behind us, feeling that chest open up, stretching our pecs a little bit, stretching across the front of our chest and shoulder right on this outside portion there. We got about 30 seconds left. Nice and slow, big wide circles here. Nice and slow here. We're going to take it down to our mat for our hips and a little more full body here in about 15 seconds. Time for a few more big circles. Under 10 seconds. We got time for one or two more. Maybe our last big slow circle here will be really drive those shoulder blades back, open up the chest. Good, and relax. Nicely done. Okay, we are heading down onto our mat next. And we are going to be in our tabletop position. Hands and knees, and we call these our hip cars. These will be familiar. So we're going to bring our hip up and out, and then we drive it backwards, and then return our knee to the mat, and then come all the way back up and over. So we got 1 minute on each leg, nice and slow. Really exploring that open circle, big open circle up and around, returning to that starting position, each direction, really driving the knee up and out. So when we get back to here, we drive the knee up, open it up to the side, and tuck it back underneath. 30 seconds or so left on this knee, and we'll switch to the other side. Make sure we're getting those circles with the knee as big as we can, all the way up, out, over, driving it back. Starting to feel a little in the glute fatigue there. It's okay, we're almost there. One or two more big circles before we switch to the other leg. Good, there's our beat. So we're switching to this side. I'm going to turn and rotate just so you can see my active leg on the camera side here. And we've got the same motion. So we're driving the knee up and out, getting a big full circle before we scoop that knee back underneath us, and then open it back up, open to the side, and tuck it back in that original position. These are our hip cars. Good, here we go. So we're up and out to the side, drive the knee back, scoop it underneath here like a knee drive, and then we kick it back, open up to the side. Nice and slow here. Again, we don't have our rep goal. We have a timer, so don't feel like we need to go any certain speed. We would rather slow it down a little bit and just own that whole big circle and really make that hip work. So don't worry about how many you're doing. If you only did 5 or 10 in this whole time, that would be fine, as long as we're really committing to making that big circle up and over. We got about 20 seconds left. That's time for a few more reps. Five seconds, one more big circle, all the way up and around. Get that knee underneath you, scoop it under, and relax. Great job. We're gonna stay right here in this position. We're gonna finish off with some cat-cows and just finish getting our whole spine from our lumbar region all the way up to our neck getting going. So we're just gonna spend time right here in this position, and we do our best job to arch our back, drop your belly to the mat, and then drive our back all the way up to the sky. There's our timer. So again, no rep goal. We're just going to arch and spend about 2-3 seconds in each position. And then go to the other position. So when we're arched up to the sky, we want to blow all of our air out. Round back to the sky. As we drop our belly, we take a big breath in and force our tummy to the mat. And then we're going to go ahead and blow that air out again. And reverse. So just going nice and slow, 2-3 seconds at a time in each position here. just over 10 seconds left. Let's get 1 or 2 more in each position. Nice big breath in. Drop that belly to the mat. Then let's blow air out. 5 seconds. Blow all that air. Arch your back way up to the sky. And relax. Great job. Okay, we're finished with our basic mobility there for our lower body and our upper body. We got a little bit of everything going there. We're going to take it up onto our feet for a little bit more mobility, a little bit more dynamic movement. We'll have more body parts moving at the same time. We'll do some reaching, twisting, so on and so forth. So if you're still comfortable without your shoes, that's okay. Stay that way. If you want to put some shoes on, we will be standing up for some of this. So whatever's comfortable with you, but we will go for our next one here. We are just going to do a classic toe touch, standing up on our feet. All we're doing is hinging forward, just almost like a deadlift, and we're touching those toes. So we're going to get a really nice stretch in our glutes, hamstrings, low back there. So we will modify that on our second time through, but for now we're just going to stick with 2 hands, down to 2 toes, straight down the middle, and come back up. So just basically like a body weight deadlift, just keeping our knees as straight as we can. We don't want to fully lock them out, but try and keep your knees straight. You'll hear the beep. We'll start. And there's our timer. So we're just staying as straight as we can, flat as back as we can, really feeling a stretch. So all we do is just reach down toward your toes, get as close as you can. Hopefully you can touch. If you can't touch, get your best effort in there. We'll still get a great stretch. And we're just going through this motion slowly. We've got a minute. So again, no rep goal, just working on a nice slow stretch on the way down and a nice full extension on the way back up. Feeling some tension, hopefully releasing out of those hamstrings as we get down to those toes. I'm pretty tight in the hamstring region, so I don't get a great toe touch in here every time. I'm doing my best. I've improved a lot, but if you have tight hamstrings like me, which is very common, just do your best. Don't feel discouraged if you can't get down all the way to those toes. Just to get as best job as you can. And keep a little bend in the knee is okay, but we want to keep those as straight as we can. We got 5 seconds, so one more full toe touch all the way down and back up. Great job. So we are going to keep it moving right there. So we're going to go to a wide feet, wide base, classic opposite toe touch here. So we've got those toes externally rotated a little bit, pointing out. Nice wide base. We start with our arms and legs fully extended, and we're just going to reach down to the opposite toe and come back to this position right here. And you'll hear the timer. There you go. So we're reaching as close as we can get. I definitely cannot reach on this one. So do your best. You may find that you'll increase that reach and that range of motion over time, which is great as this round goes through. And if not, we're still feeling pretty tight. That's okay because we're still putting in the effort and getting some movement in our body. So try and keep the legs as straight as you can. Try and keep the arms straight so you can reach down. And don't be discouraged if you can't touch. We're doing our best. I am not touching, so you can see that on the video. Room for improvement for everybody, including myself, but we're still getting a good stretch in the hips and hamstrings, starting to get some rotation in our upper body here as we reach down to that toe. 15 seconds. Break. So we are going to go bring those feet in a little bit. We're going to do a shallow squat for our next movement with a reach over to the side. So shallow squat meaning we don't have to go all the way down, just get a little bend in the knees and then a reach. And then as we come back, we want to bend a little bit. So we're getting some action in our quads, but we're not doing a full squat, right? So just keep that shallow dip and then a reach stretch. So we get a really great stretch along the outside of our hip and shoulders and armpit there. So again, just working through alternating sides. Nice shallow squat into a reach over. So waking up our legs a little bit, but mostly stretching our arms and lats and torso. So we really want to take a shallow squat, but as we come up, we really want to exaggerate that reach, right? So a little bit of a squat, and then we're reaching, driving that hip that way. So we're kind of, don't want to push too hard, but you can crank it a little bit if you feel comfortable. And really exaggerating the over-the-top reach. So we want to get that hand all the way. You'll notice my hand is getting almost to my opposite foot or outside that foot, right? So try and reach over as best you can. We got 10 seconds, time for another reach or two. Still just waking up those legs a little bit with that shallow squat. Good. From there, we're going to take it onto another shallow movement with our lower body, and we're adding a twist. This time we reached, last time we're twist. So we're doing a shallow reverse lunge with the twist. So when my right leg goes back, I twist to the opposite side. So there we go. So again, not a full reverse lunge, just more of a step back, really enough to change our hip position and twist to the opposite side. Our main focus is the twist in the hips and the torso. So step back only as far as you feel comfortable, even if it's just a very, very shallow step, and put that toe down to get a twist in, that's okay. Same thing here, just working for a timer. So if we're feeling a little wobbly or tight, just take it nice and slow, very shallow on the step back or that reverse lunge portion, making sure we're just driving our torso as we twist. Got 10 seconds. Time for 1 or 2 more on each side. Again, just taking a shallow step back, more focused on the twist than the lunge step portion. You can go as deep as you like though. Good, and there's a break, okay. Now we're gonna take it down onto our mat into tall plank. So we're just gonna be in a classic tall plank position. You can hold that if you'd like. And other than that, we are gonna go with shoulder taps, right? So if you have it in our tank today, we're doing shoulder taps in the tall plank. Otherwise, we're just gonna try and hold this tall plank as best you can. I'm gonna get up on the mat so I'm not slipping. And we're just doing a very slow shoulder tap if we can do it today. Making sure our wrists, elbows, and shoulders are stacked for our plank. And we've got our feet at a nice wide base. Again, I'm doing really slow here. I'm focused, hyper-focused on my core, not letting my weight shift from side to side. And that's our ultimate goal with our plank tap, is to just keep everything as tight and rigid as possible. So definitely slow these reps down today and just focus on a nice slow tap. Good, and there's our break. We are going to go through that same block, and we're making some slight modifications to some of these movements today. So on that first one, we did our toe touch. So now we'll reach down to our toes, but we're also going to drop our butt or our glutes down too. So this is a little bit tougher movement. So just stick with the toe touch if you can. You got it. So we get down to the toes, and we sit, and then drive our hips back up, and then fully stand up. So adding that sitting element in there for our hips and knees too. Sinking those hips down as best you can, otherwise we're just sticking with the toe touch. Remember, no shame in that. If we're not comfortable with that sitting down portion, it is a little tougher. Just stick with the toe reach. One more rep, get down to those toes and sink your hips. Good, there's our break, okay. We are moving on to our wide feet. Again, our wide base is our next one on the list. And instead of opposite toe touch, we are gonna touch right down in the center. So we're getting a little more hinging at the hip and a little more twisting of our upper body. So you'll hear the beep and we're gonna take it away. So touching in the center and really trying to drive that other arm and elbow up behind you. So like I said, a little more hinge at the hips to get down to touch in the center, and a little more twisting of our torso to get that other arm up. It's tough. Do your best to get that other arm up. I don't get very much, as you can see, but we're working on it. So as you touch down in the center, you twist the other arm up to the sky. I'm certainly better on one side than the other, so that's okay. Working through some of those imbalances. That's our ultimate goal here, is to get that mobility evened out as best we can 20 seconds to go. This is a tougher one. We're feeling it all over. Inner thighs, torso, upper body, back of our shoulder blades. Everything's working hard here. Less than 10 seconds to get one more touch on each side. So there's one there and our last touch right there. Good. Okay. We're going to go, our next two are going to stay the same. We had our shallow squat reach and we had that the reverse lunge shallow reach with the twist. So those will not change. So we're just going to stick with what we got. Those are nice dynamic movements. We're working through that second block here. So we are ready to go here at the timer again. So just a nice shallow squat, enough to keep those legs active. And mostly a big reach. Focus on really driving that arm up over to the side. Like I said, we're looking at my hand. We get all the way over outside that line of our opposite foot, right? I'm reaching all the way over. So do your best to really reach as far as you can go. Feeling a really nice stretch underneath the armpit. We might even feel some of those ribs stretching out, opening up, right? That's good. Getting a big lean and reach to really open up that rib cage. Big breath in and out for these reps too. Stretching those ribs. 5 seconds, one more big reach. We'll get one more in, shallow squat, get to the other side and reach it. Right on that beep. Good. So we felt a really nice stretch, or at least I did. Hopefully you guys did too on the rib cage. We started feeling the lats opening up, stretching those ribs out too. So back to our shallow reverse lunge with the twist. Again, make sure we make this lunge really shallow. We're not going for anything. So even if it's just tapping the toe back for a twist, that's okay. Just enough to open up that hip and twist back. So just don't even have to think about it as a lunge. Just the step back is enough. And then we're twisting. So it is a little tougher. This is good for our balance as well, especially if you're like me, we're on a little bit of a squishy mat. We got to really focus on that lead foot staying balanced as we kick that back foot, put the toe down. We have a little stability from that back foot, but we're really taxing ourselves to stay nice and balanced on that other side. I know that my right side is much tighter, so it's tougher for me to twist and drive to that side. I know. Hopefully you guys notice some of those imbalances as well, and you can work through those. Great job. Okay. We're back to our tall plank for the last time, and instead of taps now, we are going to do more rotations. So we're really focused on opening up these chest and hips today. So in our tall plank, and of course take a mod if you can. Just stick with the taps today, or just the tall plank. Try and do that. Do your best. We are here in our tall plank, and now we are twisting up to the sky, opening up that chest. Trying to stay stable in our lower body and feet and toes, staying down strong on the mat. $15 seconds to go. Just finish out holding that tall plank if you need to. Hopefully you can get one or two more good rotations in here. Last one here. Get all the way up and twist. Follow that hand with your eyes if you can, and come back to the plank. Great job. All right, we are done with that mini block right there. We are going to take it into our next block here, where we'll stay down on our mat, and we will be in the kneeling position for just a minute here. So hopefully if you need to double up mats or grab a pillow for that knee, you can grab that. Won't be too long. We will just do 1 minute on each knee. So if you can tolerate it for a minute, I think you'll be good to go. We can also do this modified seated if we wanted to. We'll take out our hip flexor stretch, but we are going to, we're reaching down to our hamstring like that. So if we have to get off the knees and we want to sit, we just take that portion down towards our toe, and then we can raise our arms up. What we are doing on our mat though, in this position, you'll see from the side, perhaps a better angle. We're on one knee, one leg is kicked out, so we reach to our toes, and then we lean forward and arms go up, and then we sink back and reach, and then arms come forward. So we're getting a hip flexor stretch on one side and a hamstring stretch on the other. So this is a nice dual dynamic movement. And we will start our timer here in 3, 2, 1, and we are going to start there. So as we come forward, arms go up, keep that glute squeezed and our core active, and then reach to our toes. So moving through this position as best we can. Just 1 minute on each side here. So nice dynamic movement, big stretch on the, so now I'm stretching hamstring on my front leg here, and then when I come up, arms over, I'm stretching my back leg back here, quad and hamstring. So just keep shifting gently in between those positions. And of course, if we're seated, we're just gonna reach down toward our toe and then bring the arms up overhead. Great job. We got just over 10 seconds. Time for 1 or 2 more full cycles. We got arms up. Let's get 1 more hamstring reach and 1 more crank on the hip flexor there. And maybe get back to those hamstrings. There's our timer. Good. We're doing the same thing, so let's flip over. I'm going to turn my body the other way just for the sake of viewing that front leg. And so we have that. Trying to keep this glute squeeze on my downside knee that we can get a good stretch on the hip flexor as we come forward. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and lean forward to start. And then as we sink back, reach down toward those toes. We probably won't get there. If you can reach your toes on this one, you're very flexible. This is a tougher movement. Just take it nice and slow, doing our best to go through that range of motion as best we can. Really stretching the hip flexor, keeping that glute squeezed, core active, and really sinking our butt back and getting a good hamstring stretch. Arms way up overhead. And reach toward the toe. Good. Hopefully we're feeling loose. We're getting closer to that toe. A little bit looser on the quad and hip flexor there. About 20 seconds left. Plenty of time to work through a few more. We're almost there. We got about 12 seconds. 1 or 2 more cycles all the way through. Reach for those toes. Feel the stretch in the hams. Sink forward onto the hips. 1 more reach to the toe. Great job. Okay. Continuing to move down the line. We will be seated next in a position with 1 leg extended out and 1 leg tucked behind us here. So whatever is comfortable for your body, and then we're just going to lift this knee. So I've got my leg straight out here, and all I'm doing on that other knee is just lifting it up as high as I go. Maybe we can only get a little bit. Maybe we can really open it up all the way. Just working on getting that hip opened up here a little bit. Might feel pretty tight on the inner thigh, so do your best. If we need to support your upper body on a table or the chair or something by you, hands behind you is totally fine, and we're just lifting that knee. Trying to really squeeze and drive it out at the top. We have a good glute squeeze back here to really lift that knee. Hopefully no pinching or cramping. Do your best. Seconds or so left here. A couple more good reps, really driving that knee, feeling the hip open up. 2 more. Let's get 2 more in here. There's 1. Drive the knee. Get all the way back down to the mat, and the last one. Drive it open up. Great job. Okay, we're switching positions. So all we got to do is switch your legs. So the other leg is down with the knee, and now we're kicking that other leg out. So I'm already feeling a little tighter on this side. I know it's going to be tougher. My left hip is already mad at me, so we're just going to do our best. Open it up there. So I get a good pinch right on the front of my hip there. So we can only come up so high on this leg. Right leg came up much higher, but we're still going to do our best to lift that and get as much motion in there as we can. Hopefully throughout the round it's going to cooperate with us a little bit. just coming up as high as you can go comfortably is all. We want to force through maybe a little bit of pinch or discomfort, but if we have a pretty solid pinching pain, we don't want to fight through that too much. So just doing our best to lift that knee as high as we can get it and slowly returning it down to the mat. So working through this one. We got one more section to finish this off today. We're going to go through a few rounds of that. Then we will get our weight involved a little bit there. So if you've been itching for that weight training, we're not doing too heavy. We got our light dumbbells, of course, but we will get a little bit of weight on us on here in the next one. We got 5 seconds. One more. This hip did decide to cooperate and open up a little bit for us, so hopefully yours is as well. Good job. Okay, that's a tough one for the hips. So take a minute, grab a drink if you need it here. We're working hard. We're getting a little sweaty. Hopefully we're not sweating too much, but if you need to sweat, you can wipe off. Grab your drink. Feel those hips like we worked a little bit, especially that hip flexor stretch, followed right by that opening up, the extending of the hip there on that external rotation. So we're going to go through our bottom block here. And we've got 8 different exercises. We'll go through a few rounds. A little bit of strength, a little bit of mobility mixed in here. So we do want those very light dumbbells. Again, we just have a very light weight to work with here. We don't overdo it. Very small muscle group we'll be working on with our rotator cuffs up here. So we don't want to push it too far. We just want to do our best. We're going to have those light weights. And of course, if you have no weights, let's just focus on just our arms. Even if we're going to do that, we're still going to feel a really good, a little bit of fatigue from just moving our arms. But we will have our weights right here. We start a 3-way movement with our shoulders. So we come up to the front, out to the side, and then we meet those fists up in the top of the sky. So it is going to fatigue the shoulders no matter how much weight you have. So please, please don't overdo it on the weight. Make sure you have something nice and light. We will be on our feet for this one, or perhaps you could be sitting, whatever your choice is. I'm going to start standing. May move to seated for the second round, but we were going to go here. So again, we start here, palms are facing each other. We'll hear our beep to start. We're just doing a big 3-way shoulder burn here, lightweight. So we are going to lift the arms up. We come out to our side, and then we're meeting those dumbbells up overhead, and then reverse the whole process. So you'll see already why we want to do lightweight. It's very challenging. Focus on keeping those shoulder blades squeezed. Core is tight. Our upper body is in a strong position when we have our core active, and of course we can get our feet settled and nice and right. So we brought those, we're closing our palms together and then lowering them back to our waist. So very hard movement here. Make sure we have very, very lightweight. Don't want to push ourselves too much. Just working on our shoulder blade stability, control of the shoulders and what we're doing. Exploring what feels good, what feels bad. I have a little click in my left shoulder that we know when we get to on our downward portion that I know is there. We try to keep that shoulder blade pinched and squeezed back as best we can to avoid that. Let's get one more if we can. We got just a few seconds. Open up those arms. Good, and we're relaxing them. See, that is a tough one. So please keep it easy on the way. We're going to drop just to one light weight. We're going to keep it going for our upper body and mix lower body in too. So now we're going to do alternating lateral lunge. Just make it shallow as much as we can, and then we're just pressing the weight out here in front of us, and we'll alternate those. So again, slow and steady with the reps. And I said alternate, we are not alternating. I tricked you, we're going to stick with one side, so nice and slow. I apologize for that miscue there. Just sticking with one leg. Again, we don't want too much weight, just working on some light movement and mobility here. So sinking back on the hip, making that plant leg work a little bit for stability and balance. We're not overloading too much today. Of course, you're welcome to scale this up if you'd like to grab some heavy weight and really push yourself for this, but just more focused on what our hips are doing, how that knee and our quad are feeling, keeping us nice and stable and getting that press out. So okay, there we go. I was going to say, we got one more, but we're stopping right there. Good, so we're doing the same thing now. Let's pick the other leg. So I said originally we were alternating. We are not alternating. I tricked you. So we are going to stick with the other side, lateral lunge with the press. Again, we're not going too deep. You're welcome to scale this up as much as you feel comfortable. We're just focused mainly on just getting the movement in the hips, a little bit of light resistance, and more just focused on planting that outside foot and getting our foot and ankle and knee and hip to do what we want it to do. We have plenty of opportunity to load a lot of resistances in other classes right in our workouts, so don't be afraid to take the weight off, and we're focusing on mobility, right? Mobility and recovery are equally important as our weight training, and if we are overdoing it in our mobility sessions, that's not really a mobility session, right? We're just doing more weight training. So we do have a little bit of weight, we need that weight for some cueing, but we just want to focus on that shallow lunge, just getting these movements, dynamic movements in a bunch of different parts of our body here. So shallow, really stick that plant foot in, extend that as best you can. We got 8 seconds so we can get 1 or 2 more in here. Let's go see if we can get 1 more. We're back, drive that shallow lunge, drive it out and return. Good, great job. So those are our first ones for our lateral lunge. We're going to bring it back down to seated on our mat. We've got a light weight, and we're going to be in this position here. We're going to use our own knee to support ourselves. So we've got the dumbbell right here. Now we're going to do some external rotation of the shoulder, just like that. So you can let that arm hang down, and then we just lift it up to there, and then slowly let it return. So getting some good training in our rotator cuff muscles here, going to help us keep those shoulders strong and healthy. So these will fatigue pretty quick, so even if with a light weight, if you have to drop it and just do the rotation with your arm, do that, because our rotator cuff muscles are very small, typically don't get a lot of isolated training like we're doing right here, so you might be already feeling fatigued. Even myself, I'm feeling fatigued with this 8-pound weight already, so we're taking it nice and slow. Spend a second down here if you're going to relax and really drive it up. So just see if we get a good squeeze in the shoulder, especially at the top. Slow descent, really let the weight hang and get a good stretch and then drive it up. We got 12 seconds. Let's get a couple more good reps in here. Nice and slow, stretching those muscles. Big squeeze as we pull the weight up. Nice and slow all the way down. We got 2 seconds. Just let the weight lower and relax. Great job. So we can feel how much that's working our shoulder just from that simple movement, right? So we're switching to the other side. This one has been a nuisance for me, so it might be a little tougher for me. I'm going to do my best. Please make those adjustments. Drop the weight, lower the weight if you need to. Got 5 seconds here. 2, 1, and same idea. So we pull up, really try and squeeze those back of our shoulders, and then we're going to slowly lower the weight. We get a good stretch and a good contraction this way. And of course, we can be seated for this one as well, probably with our knees in front of us, but if we're comfortable sitting down, we'll stay here. This is a good position for us to be in. So already feeling quite a bit of fatigue. My left shoulder is weak. Like I said, it's been a nuisance for me. I do have some pinching, so hopefully this will help it for any of you folks who suffer that same little bit of impingement perhaps in the shoulder there. So just doing our best, and again, if we have to drop it, so we're going to drop the weight, especially for me, and we're just focused on really, we can almost own it better with no weight, so don't be ashamed to drop it. You see me dropping it, and then we can really just focus on getting up here and just forcing your back of your palm to go that way and really get that contraction in the rotator cuff, and then let your arm hang for a stretch. So definitely no shame in dropping the weight as you see me doing here in the video. So there it is, good job. That fatigues our shoulders really quickly, as you guys can tell. So we're gonna take it down onto our backside. We're gonna do some bridging. Next 2 rounds are bridges. The first one will be just classic bridge reps. Again, we can put a little bit of weight on our hips here, but we wanna focus on just the glute squeeze and the movement of our knees. So don't feel like we need weight. You're welcome to load them up. I'm gonna do body weight only here. So we're just focused on really driving the weight up. I'd prefer if you had no weight, because then we can really just own the glute squeeze and the core contraction, not having to focus on how much weight we're driving, just really focusing on owning the squeeze, letting our knees do what they need to do, external rotation, driving our knees outward and getting a really nice squeeze at the top. We will change it so that you probably won't want weight for the second round of our bridges here, but if you're really wanting to push yourself on, I will not stop you. I want to discourage you from weight training, but we want to just work on this nice mobility block while we have it here, right? So take the weight light, focus on the glute squeeze, focus on keeping your core tucked in. If you got to keep your hand on your belly as a cue for your core, go ahead and do that. just focused on those big squeezes, light, slow, controlled movements at the hips here. Really, really driving those hips up. We got time for one more. Good, and relax. So here's our transition period. Not much to transition here. We are doing the same thing, except for now we want to bridge and hold. Trying to hold the bridge as best you can, and we'll march our feet and knees. So we'll be alternating, almost like alternating a single leg bridge. But we do want to hold that bridge rep as best we can for the whole round. So here we go. We're up, we're holding that bridge rep, and now we've really got to have our core and glutes working hard as we slowly, very slowly, just march one foot up at a time. So keeping everything nice and tight, doing our best to stay stable through the whole movement. Just a nice slow knee grind here. Driving that knee up to your chest. And if you have to take a break here and just reset your bridge, that's totally fine. Do that. We want to focus on the bridge and the marching rather than tons of reps, right? So don't be afraid to drop your bridge, reset it, make sure we've got those glutes squeezed tightly, doing what they're supposed to be doing, keeping that bridge nice and rigid. We got about 15 seconds left, so keep marching. Great job. And for our last one of this block, before we repeat one more round through, we're going to come onto our belly here, and we're going to do some Superman lifts. So we have some options here of lifting all at the same time, where we can alternate opposite arm and leg, getting a big squeeze in those glutes and the shoulder blades. So there's our timer. If you can, we'll do double lifts, both arms and both legs for reps. And if we have to switch or we need to modify to just opposite arm and leg, please do so. But we're focused on the glute squeeze and the back muscles rather than just arching our back up, right? So let's try and own the movement, squeeze the glutes and pull our shoulder blades back to get a full contraction in our posterior chain rather than just relying on our back muscles to crank it up, right? Keep getting those good squeezes. We got 20 seconds to go. We're almost there. 10 seconds left. We got one or two more good reps. And of course, we've moved on to our alternating reps if we need to. 2 seconds, one more big squeeze. Good, and relax. Okay. We'll take a quick break here. We're going to run through that bottom block. Once more. Grab a quick drink, so we'll start again with that shoulder burner with those dumbbells. It's tough, right? So make sure we're really keeping it lightweight, guys. I know we want to push ourselves sometimes, but we want to just focus on what we're here for today, being present in this mobility class rather than working ahead for our strength, right? So grab a quick drink. Wipe off your sweat if you're working up a sweat. We're going through one more round of our 8-round block, starting with those shoulders, lateral lunges, and our glutes, and external rotation with our shoulder, and we'll call it a day. So I appreciate you guys working with me today. We're going to take it through one more time. We got 8 minutes left on the clock for one more minute of each one of those motions, and then we'll call it a day. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to go. We'll get our timer back in here, so we will hear our beep, and that'll cue us off. So again, we can stand or sit for the first round here. We do have that tough one for the shoulders. So if we're standing, make sure we've got a nice solid base with our feet, right? Our belly button's gonna be tucked in whether we're sitting or standing. Palms start facing each other, up to the front. Squeeze the shoulder blades, especially as we go out. And then we're gonna meet the dumbbells at the top of our head. Slow and controlled all the way back down, all the way back in, and here. Halfway through the round again, so we're fatiguing quick, right? These are tough movements, even with the lightweight, so drop it and just use your arms if you need to. Focus on the shoulder blades. Another reminder to cue those shoulder blades, squeeze in a safe position. Core is tucked. Our bottom half is keeping us nice and stable with a solid base. 8 seconds to go. Let's get one more all the way through. Open up, squeeze shoulder blades. Close it at the top. and reverse it all the way back down. We're gonna finish all the way. We'll bring the wrists back down to the hips. Good job. All right, we're gonna drop one weight. Back to those shallow lateral lunges, shallow lateral lunge. So again, we're just doing one leg at a time for this minute. We wanna focus on the plant foot, focus on the knee externally rotating, driving out, sink the hips back, and we'll get a press. The press is gonna cause us to really own it at the bottom portion, right? So once we get out here, we gotta hold that position while we slowly press out. So that's the cue for that. We are getting some strength training in our upper body for that, of course, but it's really forcing our lower body to do what we want it to do when we add that slow, steady press. So we plant that foot, hips and knees are doing what they need to do, slow press to really cause us to spend 2 or 3 seconds down in that bottom position, really focusing what our body should be doing, and then come back up. So again, it's pretty shallow. We're not going into the deepest lateral lunge we can do, but we're working on just commanding our plant leg to work for us in the way that we want to do it. About 15 seconds left, so we've just got a few more reps here. Keep working hard. We're feeling a little fatigue in the leg, that's good. See, we're working hard even though we don't have too much weight, taking some more shallow reps, right? So it's good for you. Last one, get that slow press. Good job. That leg is working hard, right? Even though we're not loading it too much. So one more time on the other leg and we'll take it down to our mat and finish up today. So you guys are working hard. 8 seconds. We're going to that lateral lunge on the opposite leg. Again, just a shallow lunge. Plant the leg and really think about mind-muscle connection between our plant leg as we step out. Hips and knees are back and doing what they need to do. Slow press to own the movement at the bottom and back up. So we plant that foot, knee drives out as the hip goes back. Slow press, return it to our chest. $20 seconds to go, feeling a little fatigue in the legs. We're working hard, we're almost there. Keep sticking with me here. We're wrapping it up. Less than 15 on this leg. We're almost through. Last one, get that last press. And bring it in, great job, okay. We are down in our seated position. We've got these shoulders one more time and then our Brazilian Supermans before we call it a day. So remember to make the proper adjustment with our weight here. We've got a light weight. If we got to drop, we got to drop. That's okay. So we're in that seated position. One leg out, one knee bent for us to use our support. And we're driving that back of our hand up, slow and controlled on the way back down. Tough movement here. Remember, we're halfway through, so we are feeling fatigue. It's a small muscle group. They're going to fatigue quickly. If you got to recover for a second down here, do that, and then pull it back up. We're doing good. That is tough. So 20 seconds. Drop the weight. Just go with our arm if we need to. We got a lot of fatigue in the shoulder, but we're working hard. It's good. We need it, right? So really focus, especially with no weight, just driving the palm out that way so you can really feel that contraction in the back of the shoulder. It might get a little teeny cramp. Those are teeny tiny muscles. They're working really hard, so good. That fatigues the shoulder very quickly, right? So same thing on the other side. I dropped it that time. I dropped this on the first time on this arm, so we're going to expect that I fatigue just as quickly on this arm. This is my little bit weaker arm, my left arm. It likes to bother me, so please do not feel ashamed if we're dropping the weight, because you see me doing it right here. So very tough, challenging movement for the shoulder rotator cuff muscles. Often overlooked, undertrained, but we're not ignoring them today. 2 really great shoulder movements in this class for these rotator cuffs. Really fatigued them, so don't be afraid to drop the weight. I'm only going to have a few more good reps in me here before I have to drop it. Probably 1 or 2 more is going to be it for me. Really squeeze. We're going to shoot for 1 more. We're controlling it on the way down. Nice deep stretch, we're feeling it. We're we're driving that arm up, and I'm gonna have to drop it there. About 20 seconds to go. And we're really focused on just driving the back of our hand. We can let it sink here, but we drive the back of the hand outside, getting a really good contraction in those muscles. Last 10 seconds here, let's go. Good. That is tough on the shoulders there. We're going back to our bridges here again. So add some light resistance if you want for the bridges, but let's stay focused on just the reps, keeping the glutes tight, keeping the core tucked, keeping our knees externally rotated. Here we go. There's our timer. So nice solid reps here. Core's tight, glutes are tight. Just a nice big squeeze at the top. Exploring the hips and glutes here. "15 seconds to go." Squeezing those glutes, keeping our feet firmly planted on the ground. Knees are doing what they need to do. Out, external rotation, just a little bit here. Don't let those knees cave toward each other. Big squeeze, last squeeze, great job. Staying right where we are going to our bridge hold, and we'll do our marching now. So we're gonna take out the reps, we're trying to bridge and hold the whole time. If you have to reset the bridge, that's totally fine, to command our glutes to do what they want to do, or what we want them to do, rather. So explore that march as best you can. So we're getting a nice solid bridge. We got to squeeze the glutes, and we're going to slowly march. No rep goal, that's why we got the timer, right? So just march as slowly as you need to make sure that the glute on the plant foot is staying strong here. Don't rush the foot transition. If you got to plant both your feet, squeeze that plant legs glute and switch. Do that, right? We got to command the glute. So think about the glute muscle that you're trying to squeeze. That mind-muscle connection is going to help you. And of course, again, we can reset the bridge. So reset the bridge all together. Come back up. Still thinking about which glute we're squeezing, which leg is planted, which one needs to work harder, which leg is going to flex up to our chest. 10 seconds to go. We're almost there. Keep marching. Reset that bridge one more time if you need to. Just hold the bridge out here if we got to finish out. Really big glute squeeze. 2, 1, and relax. Great job. We are rolling over onto our stomach for our last block here. Our one final minute, we're starting in 10 seconds, and we've got these Superman lifts. So we're trying to do double arm and legs. If we got to go to those single arm, we can do that. And here we go. So we've got the arm for opposite arm and leg, or we're going for doubles. So whatever works best for you. Just focused on the glute squeeze and the shoulder blades rather than just arching our back, right? So you got to own it. Make sure all of our muscles are doing what they need to do. We're in the home stretch. We've got about 30 seconds to go. Under 10 seconds. 1 or 2 more big squeezes here to finish it off. 5, 4, last one. Big squeeze and hold, and relax. Good job. Okay. That's the end of our block right there, and that's the end of our class. So we can spend a few more seconds here. Some cat-cows if we just want to relax our low back and mid-back from what we just did. So just going to work through a very small amount of our cat-cows, just relaxing that hips and spine there. Keep working through some of those. If you feel like we're tight and our hips are low back region from that. Hopefully we're not too tight. We just did plenty of mobility. I feel like we were opening up. Our goal is to loosen up and still strengthen a little bit and kind of own these movements. So that's all we had for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this class. I know I feel like I'm getting hips looser. We fatigued our shoulders a little bit, but indication of where we might want to work a little harder if we need to, if we're feeling cramps or tightness anywhere. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this class. I had a great time leading it for you guys. I know I'm feeling good, and I hope you are too. So please leave me a comment, leave me a like, shoot me an email, anything you'd like. Let me know what you thought about today's class. We'll hope to see you back in the fitness center soon. Until then, you'll see us right here, same time, same channel, same place, whatever you want to say, on our YouTube channel here with these videos. So hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.